The moment I found Kayla's phone buzzing with a text from Chase at 3 in the morning, I knew my marriage was about to become the kind of train wreck that makes people slow down on the highway. The message read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear that red dress I bought you." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Daniel Ross, 33, software engineer for a mid-sized tech company in Dallas. I thought I had life figured out. Decent salary, suburban house, wife who supposedly loved me. Turns out, I was about as sharp as a bowling ball when it came to reading the signs. "Danny, you're being paranoid again," Kayla had said just last week when I asked about her sudden need for business meetings. Every Tuesday and Thursday night. She was sprawled on our couch, perfectly manicured nails tapping against her phone screen, posting another selfie to her Instagram account. "I'm building my influencer brand. You wouldn't understand." That should have been my first clue. When someone says you wouldn't understand something as basic as lying, you're probably dealing with someone who's gotten very good at it. Kayla Ross, 29, had quit her job as a social media consultant 6 months earlier. Her grand plan? Becoming a full-time influencer. Her follower count? A whopping 1,200 people, half of whom were probably bots. But somehow, in her mind, this qualified her to live off my income while she pursued her dreams. "You make enough for both of us," she'd announced over dinner one random Tuesday like she was discussing the weather. I calculated it. "We'll be fine." I'd nearly choked on my pasta. "We? When did my salary become our retirement plan?" "Don't be dramatic, Danny. I just need some time to build my brand. Once I hit 10,000 followers, the sponsorship deals will start rolling in." That was 6 months ago. Her follower count had actually decreased, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to the beginning of this mess, because like any good disaster, it started small and built momentum until it became unstoppable. 3 weeks ago, I came home from work to find Kayla's mother, Patricia, sitting at my kitchen table like she owned the place. Patricia Summers was 55 years old and had perfected the art of looking disappointed without saying a word. She had the kind of face that suggested the world owed her something substantial, and she was still waiting for payment. "Daniel," she said without looking up from her phone, "we need to talk." I set down my laptop bag and grabbed a beer from the fridge. If Patricia wanted to have a conversation, I was going to need alcohol. "What's up, Patricia?" "It's about Kayla's financial situation." "You mean my financial situation that she's currently spending?" Patricia finally looked at me, and her expression suggested I'd just announced my intention to kick puppies for fun. "Kayla is going through a transitional period. She needs support, not sarcasm." "She needs a job." "She has a job. Building her brand takes time and investment." I laughed, which was apparently the wrong response. "Investment?" "Patricia, she spent $400 last week on a ring light for her phone. Her brand is posting pictures of her lunch. You clearly don't understand the influencer economy." "The influencer economy?" "She has fewer followers than my high school math teacher, and he's been gone for 3 years. That's when Kayla walked in, carrying shopping bags from 3 different stores. Designer shopping bags. She kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong and started unpacking her purchases on the counter. "Look what I found," she said, pulling out a dress that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. "It's perfect for my lifestyle content." "How much?" I asked. "It was on sale." "How much, Kayla?" $600, but it's an investment piece." Patricia nodded approvingly. Kayla needs to look the part if she wants to attract quality brand partnerships. I stared at both of them, wondering if I'd somehow married into a family of professional con artists. $600 for a dress to take selfies in? "You don't get it," Kayla said, her voice taking on that whiny tone that made my teeth ache. "Image is everything in this business. I can't look cheap." Right now, looking cheap would be an upgrade from looking unemployed. That's when Patricia stood up, all 5 feet 2 inches of righteous indignation. "Daniel, I raised Kayla to expect a certain standard of living. If you can't provide that, maybe you need to reconsider your priorities." "My priorities? I work 50 hours a week to pay for her priorities." A real man would support his wife's dreams. A real wife would contribute to the household income. The silence that followed was the kind you hear right before someone gets slapped or divorced, possibly both. Kayla broke it first. "Mom, maybe we should continue this conversation later." Patricia gathered her purse, but not before delivering her parting shot. "Daniel, Kayla could have married anyone. She chose you. I hope you remember that." After she left, Kayla tried to smooth things over with her usual routine, apologetic kisses, promises to be more careful with money, and hints about what might happen later if I stopped being mean about her spending. But something had shifted. Maybe it was Patricia's casual suggestion that I was lucky to have Kayla. Maybe it was watching my wife nod along while her mother explained how I needed to step up my game. Or maybe it was the growing realization that I'd become a walking ATM in my own marriage. That night, I started paying closer attention. Really paying attention. I noticed that Kayla's business meetings always required new outfits. I noticed that she never talked about actual business. No client names, no project details, no concrete plans. I noticed that her phone was always face down when I was around, and she developed a habit of taking it with her everywhere, including the bathroom. Most importantly, I noticed that she'd started treating me like a roommate who happened to pay all the bills. Polite conversation, minimal physical contact, and a general attitude that suggested I was lucky she tolerated my presence. The breaking point came last Tuesday. I'd had a particularly brutal day at work, a client presentation that went sideways, a server crash that took 3 hours to fix, and a boss who seemed to think I could work miracles with a timeline that was already 2 weeks overdue. I came home exhausted, looking forward to maybe ordering pizza and watching something mindless on Netflix. Instead, I found a note on the kitchen counter. Gone to business dinner, there's leftover salad in the fridge, don't wait up. K. The leftover salad turned out to be 3 pieces of lettuce and a cherry tomato. The business dinner, according to her Instagram story, was at the most expensive steakhouse in downtown Dallas. The photos showed her laughing with a guy I didn't recognize. Tall, muscular, with the kind of smile that suggested he'd never worried about a mortgage payment in his life. That's when I decided to do some investigating. Chase Martin, 31, personal trainer and self-proclaimed lifestyle coach. His Instagram was full of shirtless gym photos and motivational quotes about living your best life. He had 15,000 followers, which apparently made him influencer royalty in Kayla's world. More importantly, he'd been liking and commenting on every single one of Kayla's posts for the past 4 months. Heart eye emojis, fire symbols, and comments like gorgeous as always and you deserve everything. I scrolled back through Kayla's photos, and suddenly the timeline became clear. The new clothes, the professional quality photos, the sudden confidence about her brand. It all started around the time Chase entered the picture. But I'm a software engineer, which means I believe in data over assumptions. So I decided to gather more evidence. Friday night, Kayla announced another networking event. This time, I decided to do some networking of my own. I called my best friend Tyler and suggested we grab drinks downtown. Purely coincidental that I chose a bar 3 blocks from where Kayla said her event was happening. Tyler Morrison had been my friend since college, and he had the useful quality of being completely honest about everything, even when honesty wasn't particularly welcome. He was also the kind of guy who could make friends with a parking meter, which meant he was excellent at gathering information. "So what's this really about?" he asked after we'd ordered our first round. "You never want to go downtown on a Friday night. Can't a guy want to spend time with his best friend?" "A guy can. You, specifically, prefer to spend Friday nights debugging code and complaining about your wife's spending habits." Tyler knew me too well. I think Kayla might be cheating. He nearly choked on his beer. "Seriously? Miss I need to document every meal for my followers is sneaking around." I know how it sounds, but something's not right. I showed him Chase's Instagram and explained about the mysterious business meetings. Tyler scrolled through the photos with the focused attention of a detective examining evidence. "Okay, this guy is definitely trying too hard," he said finally. "Nobody needs this many shirtless photos. But that doesn't mean Kayla's cheating. Maybe she's just, I don't know, getting business advice from someone who actually has followers? At 11 o'clock at night? Fair point." That's when I saw them. Kayla and Chase walking into the wine bar across the street. She was wearing the $600 dress and laughing at something he'd said. He had his hand on her lower back in a way that was definitely not professional. "Well," Tyler said, following my gaze, "that's not business advice." We paid our tab and positioned ourselves where we could watch without being seen. For the next hour, I watched my wife flirt with another man like she was auditioning for a role as his girlfriend, touching his arm when she laughed, leaning in close when he talked, playing with her hair in that way she used to do when we first started dating. The worst part wasn't the flirting, it was how happy she looked, genuinely happy in a way I hadn't seen in months. "What do you want to do?" Tyler asked quietly. "I want to go over there and cause a scene." "But you're not going to." "No, I'm going to be smart about this." That was my first mistake. I thought being smart meant gathering evidence, building a case, approaching the situation logically. What I should have done was trust my gut and prepare for war. Because while I was being smart, Kayla was getting sloppy. And when people get sloppy, they make mistakes that reveal just how long they've been lying. The The next morning, she slept until noon and spent the afternoon posting about her amazing networking event. According to her Instagram, she'd made incredible connections and was so excited about new opportunities. The photos she posted were clearly from the wine bar, but she'd cropped Chase out of every single one. "How was your event?" I asked over lunch. "Really good. Met some great people in the industry." "Anyone I'd know?" "Probably not. They're more on the creative side." "What kind of opportunities are you looking at?" "Oh, collaboration stuff. Brand partnerships. It's complicated." Everything was always complicated when Kayla didn't want to explain it. Her job search was complicated. Her spending was complicated. Her schedule was complicated. Apparently, her affair was complicated too. That afternoon, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed with a text. I didn't mean to look, but the preview was right there on the lock screen. "Chase, last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you." And that's when I realized I wasn't dealing with a wife who was having an emotional affair or getting too friendly with a business contact. I was dealing with a wife who was actively cheating and had probably been doing it for months. The smart thing would have been to confront her immediately. The smarter thing would have been to call a lawyer. But I was past smart at that point. I was moving into territory that was much more dangerous. I was getting creative. Sunday morning, I woke up with a plan. Not a good plan, necessarily, but a plan that felt a lot more satisfying than hiring a lawyer and splitting assets. Kayla was still asleep, her phone charging on the nightstand, completely trusting that her husband would never violate her privacy. That trust was about to become a serious problem for her. I made coffee and started doing research. Real research, the kind I do at work when I need to solve a complex problem. Chase Martin wasn't just a personal trainer with delusions of grandeur. He was a personal trainer with delusions of grandeur and a very interesting financial situation. Public records showed 3 credit cards in collections, a car loan that was 2 months behind, and a recent eviction notice from his previous apartment. His current address was a month-to-month rental in a complex that advertised flexible payment options, which is real estate speak for, "We know you can't afford first and last month's rent." This guy wasn't funding Kayla's lifestyle. If anything, he was probably hoping she'd fund his. I also discovered that Chase's Instagram followers weren't quite what they appeared to be. A quick analysis of his engagement rates suggested that about 60% of his followers were bots. His successful lifestyle coaching business consisted of 3 Yelp reviews, 2 of which complained about him hitting on female clients. So my wife was cheating on me with a broke, fake influencer who hit on his customers. That was somehow worse than if she'd fallen for someone actually successful. Monday morning, Kayla announced that she needed to go shopping for content creation supplies. "What kind of supplies?" I asked. "Lighting equipment, maybe a new backdrop, professional stuff." "How much professional stuff?" "I don't know yet. I need to see what's available." "Kayla, we need to talk about the budget." She sighed like I'd asked her to solve calculus. "Danny, you can't build a business without investing in it. You can't build a business without customers either. How many paid partnerships do you have lined up? These things take time." "How many?" "I'm working on several opportunities." "How many actual confirmed paying partnerships do you currently have?" The silence stretched long enough for me to count the number of times she blinked. 12. "That's what I thought," I said. "You don't understand how this industry works." "I understand how money works, and right now, money works by me earning it and you spending it." "God, you're so negative. No wonder I don't want to share my dreams with you." That's when something clicked. She didn't want to share her dreams with me because her dreams didn't include me. I was just the bank that funded her real life, which apparently involved Chase and his collection of shirtless selfies. After she left for her shopping trip, I made some calls. First to my bank to set up alerts for any purchases over $50, then to our credit card companies to do the same thing. If Kayla wanted to spend money, she was going to have to explain every purchase. Then I called Tyler. "I need a favor," I said. "Does this favor involve me lying to your wife?" "It involves you helping me figure out what my wife is lying about." "Those are 2 very different things. I can work with the second one." Tyler worked in marketing, which meant he understood social media better than I did. More importantly, he had a girlfriend who worked in social media, which meant he had access to someone who could analyze Kayla's accounts professionally. "Send me her Instagram handle," he said. "Sarah can run some analytics and see what's really going on with her engagement." An hour later, Tyler called back with news that was somehow both surprising and completely predictable. "Okay, so your wife's Instagram is basically a disaster," he said. "Her engagement rate is terrible, her follower growth is flat, and about 30% of her followers are fake accounts." "Fake how?" "Bought followers. You can purchase them for like $10 per thousand. Makes your account look more popular than it actually is. She bought followers? Either she did or someone bought them for her. Someone like Chase, who would understand exactly how to make someone's social media presence look more impressive than it actually was. There's more, Tyler continued. Sarah found something interesting. Your wife's been tagged in a bunch of photos at restaurants and events over the past few months, but she's not posting about them herself. What does that mean? It means she's going places and doing things that she doesn't want her followers to know about, or more specifically, that she doesn't want you to know about. That evening, I decided to test a theory. When Kayla got home from her shopping trip, which had resulted in $200 worth of lighting equipment that looked suspiciously like regular lamps, I casually mentioned that I'd seen her tagged in some photos from downtown. "Oh, those," she said, not looking up from her phone. "Just random people taking pictures. You know how it is downtown?" "Looked like you were having fun." "I guess. I don't really remember." She didn't remember a dinner at a restaurant that cost more than most people's car payments. That was either the worst lie she'd ever told, or she was going to so many expensive dinners that they'd become forgettable. Neither option was particularly encouraging. Tuesday was her usual business meeting night. This time, I was ready. I told her I had to work late, which wasn't entirely a lie. I did have work to do, just not at the office. Instead, I positioned myself at a coffee shop with a clear view of the restaurant where she was supposedly meeting with potential brand partners. She arrived at 7:30, wearing an outfit I'd never seen before. Chase arrived 10 minutes later, carrying flowers. Flowers. For a business meeting. They sat at a corner table, and for the next 2 hours, I watched them act like a couple on a romantic date. He fed her dessert. She laughed at everything he said. When they left, he walked her to her car and kissed her goodbye. Not a friendly kiss, not a professional kiss. The kind of kiss that suggested they'd done this before and planned to do it again. I sat in my car for 20 minutes after they left, trying to figure out how I felt. Angry, obviously. Hurt, definitely. But underneath those obvious emotions was something else. Relief. Relief that I wasn't crazy, relief that my instincts had been right, and relief that I now had a legitimate reason to stop pretending my marriage was worth saving. When Kayla got home at 11, she found me waiting in the living room. "How was your meeting?" I asked. "Really productive. I think some exciting opportunities might be coming together." "What kind of opportunities?" "Collaboration stuff, cross-promotion. It's complicated." "Try me." She sat down on the opposite end of the couch, suddenly very interested in her phone. "Well, there are these influencers who have bigger followings, and they're willing to help promote smaller accounts in exchange for mutual support." "What kind of mutual support?" "Like I said, it's complicated." "Kayla, I saw you tonight." She looked up from her phone, and for just a second, I saw panic flash across her face before she recovered. "Saw me where?" "At Meridian, with Chase." "Oh, him. Yeah, he was at the meeting. He's one of the influencers I mentioned." "The meeting where he brought you flowers?" "Those weren't for me. He was picking them up for someone else." "And the kiss?" This time the panic didn't disappear as quickly. "What kiss?" "The one in the parking lot, when he walked you to your car." "Danny, you're being paranoid again. He was just being friendly." "Friendly?" "Some people are just more affectionate than others. It doesn't mean anything." I stared at her, marveling at her ability to lie with such conviction. "So you're telling me that Chase Martin, who's been liking every single one of your Instagram posts for months, who takes you to expensive dinners and brings you flowers, who kisses you in parking lots, is just a business contact? You've been stalking my Instagram? I've been trying to understand what my wife does all day. What I do is try to build something for our future, but you're so suspicious and controlling that you can't see it." "Our future?" "Kayla, when was the last time you mentioned me in any of your posts? When was the last time you included me in any of your plans? When was the last time you acted like you wanted a future with me?" She didn't have an answer for that, which was answer enough. "I want you to stop seeing him," I said. "You can't tell me who I can and can't see for business. This isn't business." "Yes, it is." "Then prove it." "What?" "If this is business, then you won't mind if I come to your next meeting?" The look on her face was like I'd suggested we rob a bank together. "That would be weird." "Why would it be weird?" "Because you don't understand the industry. You just sit there judging everything." I promised to keep my judging to a minimum. "Danny, please, just trust me." "I did trust you. That's how we got here." She tried a different approach, moving closer and putting her hand on my arm. "Baby, I know this is hard to understand, but I'm doing this for us. Once my following grows, we'll have opportunities you can't even imagine. What I can't imagine is why you need to lie about it. I'm not lying. I'm just not sharing every detail because I know you'll worry. I'm worrying anyway. Then stop. Trust me. Trust us. But there was no us anymore, and I think we both knew it. There was Kayla and her secret life with Chase, and there was me and my growing realization that my wife had checked out of our marriage months ago. Wednesday morning, I made another discovery. Kayla had left her laptop open, and her email was still logged in. I told myself I was just closing it to save battery, but curiosity got the better of me. Her inbox was full of promotional emails from clothing stores, makeup companies, and restaurants. But buried in between the spam was a thread of emails with Chase that went back 3 months. The early emails were professional enough. Discussions about collaboration, tips for growing her following, suggestions for content. But they quickly became personal. Compliments about her photos, inside jokes, plans for private strategy sessions. The most recent email, sent yesterday while I was confronting her about their dinner, was short and direct. Had to tell Danny about our meetings. Keep it professional when you text. So she'd warned him, which meant they'd discussed how to handle getting caught, which meant this wasn't a spontaneous affair, it was a planned deception. I forwarded the entire email thread to my personal account and deleted the forwarded messages from her sent folder. If Kayla wanted to play games, I was going to make sure I had all the rules. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. Stop following my girl or we're going to have a problem. My girl. Chase was claiming ownership of my wife via text message. I showed the message to Tyler, who laughed until he started choking on his coffee. This guy threatened you over text, he said. What is he, 16? Apparently he thinks Kayla is his girlfriend. Well, based on what you've told me, he's not wrong. So what do I do? You could text him back and explain that his girlfriend is actually your wife. Or you could let him keep thinking he's one while you figure out how to destroy both of them. Tyler had a point. Chase thought he was stealing someone else's woman. He had no idea that he was actually dating someone who was using her husband's money to fund their relationship. That seemed like information he might find interesting. But before I could decide how to handle Chase, I needed to deal with the more immediate problem of Kayla's spending. Because while she was busy lying about her business meetings, she was also busy spending money like she was preparing for the apocalypse. Thursday morning, I got alerts for 3 separate purchases: $200 at Sephora, $300 at Nordstrom, and $400 at a boutique I'd never heard of. When I checked our credit card statement online, I discovered that she'd been averaging over $1,000 a week in purchases for the past month. $1,000 a week. That was more than most people's rent. When I confronted her about it that evening, she had explanations for everything. The makeup is for photo shoots. The clothes are content investments. The boutique stuff is for a collaboration I'm working on. What collaboration? It's not finalized yet. Who are you collaborating with? I can't say until the contracts are signed. Kayla, you spent almost $1,000 yesterday, and it's going to pay for itself once the partnerships start coming through. When? Soon. How soon? I don't know exactly. These things take time. How much time? Why are you interrogating me? Because I'm the one paying for your business investments, and I'd like to know when they're going to start generating income. You're being controlling. I'm being responsible. Same thing. That night, I made a decision that would change everything. I opened a new checking account in my name only and arranged for my paychecks to be deposited there instead of our joint account. I left enough money in the joint account to cover our actual household expenses: mortgage, utilities, groceries, but nothing extra. If Kayla wanted to fund her affair with Chase, she was going to have to do it with her own money, which, since she didn't have any, was going to be a problem. Friday morning, she discovered the change when her card was declined at Starbucks. Danny, there's something wrong with our account, she said, storming into the kitchen where I was eating breakfast. What kind of something? My card was declined. Weird. Did you check the balance? She grabbed her phone and logged into our banking app. There's only $800 in here. That should be enough for coffee. Not if we have bills to pay. We do have bills to pay. That's why there's $800 in the account. Where's the rest of your paycheck? I opened a separate account for my income. The silence that followed was the kind you hear right before a nuclear explosion. You did what? I opened a separate account. For budgeting purposes. Without discussing it with me? Like you discussed quitting your job with me? That's completely different. How? Because we're married. We're supposed to share everything. I agree. So when are you going to start sharing the truth about Chase? She stared at me like I'd just spoken in a foreign language. What does Chase have to do with our bank account? Everything. You're spending my money to impress another man. That's not true. Prove it. How? Stop seeing him. I already told you, it's business. Then conduct your business over email. That's not how business works. It's how my business works. It's how most people's business works. You don't understand the creative industry. I understand that the creative industry doesn't usually involve kissing your business partners. I didn't kiss him. I saw you. You saw what you wanted to see. Kayla, I have photos. That was a lie, but her reaction told me everything I needed to know. Pure panic, followed by anger, followed by a desperate attempt to regain control of the conversation. You were taking pictures of me? I was documenting my wife's business meetings. That's sick. What's sick is lying to your husband about having an affair. I'm not having an affair. Then you won't mind if I call Chase and invite him over for dinner, to discuss business. Danny, please, you're being crazy. Call him. What? Call Chase right now and invite him over for dinner tonight. If this is just business, he'll say yes. I can't do that. Why not? Because it would be weird. Why would it be weird? Because you're acting jealous and possessive. I'm acting like a husband who wants to meet his wife's business partner. You're acting like a husband who doesn't trust his wife. You're right, I don't. The words hung in the air between us like a challenge. For a moment, I thought she might finally tell the truth. Instead, she grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I'm going out. Where? Somewhere I don't have to listen to accusations and paranoia? Take cash. Your card's not going to work. She slammed the door hard enough to rattle the windows. An hour later, I got another text from Chase. Your wife deserves better than a controlling psycho. This time, I texted back, my wife deserves a man who can afford to pay for dinner. His response came immediately. What's that supposed to mean? Check your credit report. I didn't hear from either of them for the rest of the day. Saturday morning, Kayla tried a different approach. She woke up early, made my favorite breakfast, and spent 20 minutes apologizing for overreacting to my financial concerns. You're right, she said, sitting across from me at the kitchen table. I should have been more transparent about my spending and about my business relationships. Okay. I want to be completely honest with you. I'm listening. Chase has been helping me with my social media strategy, and yes, maybe the lines got a little blurred between business and friendship. How blurred? We've become close, but not in the way you think. How close? Close enough that I can see how it might look inappropriate. Kayla, I saw you kiss him. That was a mistake, a moment of confusion. Confusion about what? About what I wanted, about what I was feeling. Finally, we were getting somewhere close to the truth. And what are you feeling? Lost, confused, like I don't know who I am anymore. Who do you want to be? I want to be someone who matters, someone who's building something important. And you can't be that person with me? I don't know. At least that was honest. So what do you want to do? I asked. I want to figure things out. What does that mean? I want some space, some time to think. How much space? I don't know. Maybe I could stay at my mom's for a while. How long is a while? A few weeks, maybe a month? And Chase? What about him? Are you going to keep seeing him while you're figuring things out? I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have right now. I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and realized that the woman I'd married had been replaced by someone I didn't recognize, someone who thought lying was acceptable as long as you felt confused, someone who thought marriage was optional when it became inconvenient. Okay, I said, okay. Take your space, figure things out, but understand that while you're figuring things out, I'm going to be figuring things out too. What does that mean? It means that when you decide what you want, I might have decided what I want too. She packed 2 suitcases and left that afternoon. As I watched her drive away, I realized that I felt relieved. For the first time in months, I didn't have to wonder what she was really doing or who she was really with. But relief quickly gave way to something else. Anger. Not just anger about the affair, or the lying, or the money. Anger about the complete disrespect she'd shown for our marriage, our relationship, and me as a person. She'd turned me into a fool, and she'd done it so casually that she seemed surprised when I finally noticed. That night, I called Tyler and told him what had happened. So she's moved out to figure things out, he said. Apparently. And she's probably going to spend that time with Chase. Probably. Using your money. Not anymore. What do you mean? I canceled all the credit cards, changed the bank account passwords. If she wants to fund her soul-searching journey, she'll have to do it herself. Damn. Remind me never to cheat on my girlfriend. Tyler? Yeah? I'm going to destroy both of them. Good. They deserve it. What do you need me to do? And that's when I started planning my revenge. The first rule of revenge is patience. The second rule is information. The third rule is making sure your target destroys themselves while thinking they're winning. Over the next week, while Kayla was figuring things out at her mother's house, I did some figuring out of my own. Specifically, I figured out exactly how deep Chase's financial problems went, how fake his social media success was, and how many other women he was coaching at the same time he was coaching my wife. Tyler's girlfriend, Sarah, turned out to be a gold mine of information. She knew people in the fitness industry, people in social media marketing, and people who specialized in exposing fake influencers. Within 3 days, she'd compiled a dossier on Chase that read like a cautionary tale about everything wrong with social media culture. This guy is a walking red flag, she told me over coffee on Wednesday. He's been kicked out of 2 gyms for inappropriate behavior with female clients. His personal training certification is from some online course that costs $50, and his lifestyle coaching business doesn't even have a business license. What about his social media? Total fraud. About 70% of his followers are bots. His engagement rates are terrible. And those motivational quotes he posts? He's stealing them from other accounts. How do you know all this? I ran his account through some analysis tools we use at work. Want to see the report? She handed me a 10-page document that detailed every aspect of Chase's online presence. Fake followers, stolen content, manipulated engagement metrics, and a pattern of targeting women who were new to social media and didn't know how to spot a fraud. He's basically a predator, Sarah continued. He finds women who want to be influencers, promises to help them grow their accounts, and then uses that relationship to get close to them. How many women? Based on his comment patterns and the accounts he follows, I'd guess at least 6 or 7 over the past year. Are they all married? I don't know about married, but they all seem to have money. Expensive clothes, high-end restaurants, luxury vacations. These aren't women who are funding their lifestyles with social media income. So Kayla wasn't special. She was just the latest in a series of women Chase was using for financial support. That should have made me feel better, but somehow it made everything worse. She'd blown up our marriage for a guy who saw her as a walking credit card. What are you going to do with this? Sarah asked. I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth. Everyone? Everyone who matters. Thursday evening, I got a call from Patricia. Kayla's mother had apparently decided that her daughter's marriage problems were my fault and that I needed to be educated about my responsibilities as a husband. Daniel, we need to talk, she said without preamble. Hello, Patricia. How are you? I'm concerned about my daughter. What's concerning you? She's heartbroken. She tells me you've been controlling and suspicious. Did she tell you about Chase? She mentioned that you're jealous of her business relationships. Business relationships. Is that what she called it? Daniel, Kayla is trying to build something for herself. The least you could do is support her. I did support her. For 6 months, I paid for everything while she played pretend influencer. Played pretend? She's building a brand. Patricia, she has 1,200 followers. Half of them are bots. Everyone has to start somewhere. Most people start by getting a job. Not everyone wants a traditional career path, and not everyone wants to fund someone else's fantasy career. Is that what you think this is? A fantasy? I think Kayla is having an affair with a broke personal trainer who's using her for money, and I think she's using me to fund it. The silence on the other end of the line lasted so long I thought she'd hung up. That's a serious accusation, Patricia said finally. It's a serious situation. Do you have proof? I have photos of them together. I have text messages. I have months of suspicious behavior and lies. Maybe there's an explanation. There is. She's cheating. Have you considered that maybe you drove her to this? Drove her to what? You just said maybe there's an explanation. I mean, if she is seeing someone else, maybe it's because she's not getting what she needs at home. What she needs at home is to contribute to the household instead of treating me like an ATM. Marriage is about more than money. You're right. It's also about honesty, loyalty, and respect. Kayla's been failing at all 3. She's going through a difficult time. So am I. Then maybe you should both try harder. I did try harder, for months, while she was lying to my face and spending my money on dates with another man. Daniel, I raised Kayla to expect certain things from marriage. Like what? Security, support, understanding. I gave her all of that. What I expected in return was basic honesty. Sometimes honesty is complicated. No, Patricia, lying is complicated. Honesty is simple. What do you want from her? At this point, I want her to admit what she's been doing and stop pretending she's the victim. And if she does that, then we can talk about whether this marriage is worth saving. You'd consider divorce over this? I'd consider divorce over the lying. The cheating is just what she lied about. Friday morning, I implemented phase 2 of my plan. I created a fake Instagram account using a stock photo and a generic name and started following both Kayla and Chase. Then I began documenting everything they posted. Chase's posts were a masterclass in fake lifestyle marketing. Photos of expensive cars that belonged to the dealership where he sometimes worked out. Pictures of luxury apartments that were clearly staged for real estate listings. Screenshots of bank balances that were obviously fake. But the most interesting posts were the ones where he talked about his business philosophy. According to Chase, success was about leveraging relationships and maximizing opportunities. He posted motivational quotes about winners and losers and taking what you deserve. It was like reading a manual for sociopathic behavior, written by someone who thought he was sharing wisdom. Kayla's posts were more subtle, but equally revealing. She'd started posting more frequently since moving to her mother's house, and the photos showed a woman who was trying very hard to look happy and successful. Designer clothes, expensive meals, professional quality photos that were clearly taken by someone else, someone like Chase. But the captions told a different story. Vague references to new beginnings and finding yourself, quotes about toxic relationships and knowing your worth, posts about surrounding yourself with people who support your dreams. She was building a narrative where I was the villain and she was the victim who'd finally escaped. It was a compelling story, except for the part where she'd been cheating and lying for months. Saturday afternoon, I decided to test how committed she was to her new narrative. I sent her a text. "Can we talk?" Her response came 2 hours later. "I'm not ready yet." "When will you be ready?" "I don't know. I'm still processing everything." "What are you processing?" "How unhappy I was. How controlling you became. How I lost myself in our marriage." "Is that what happened?" "Yes." "You lost yourself?" "Completely." "And Chase is helping you find yourself?" "Ew, Chase understands what I'm going through." "What are you going through?" "A transformation. I'm becoming the person I was meant to be." "Who is that person?" "Someone who doesn't have to justify every decision to someone else." "Like the decision to cheat on your husband?" "I'm not cheating. We're separated. We're separated because you were cheating. We're separated because you couldn't handle my growth." "Your growth?" "My evolution as a person." "Is that what we're calling it?" "Daniel, I know this is hard for you to understand, but some people aren't meant for traditional relationships." "What kind of relationship are you meant for?" "One where I'm appreciated for who I am, not criticized for who I'm not." "And Chase appreciates you. He sees my potential." "What potential is that?" "My potential to be successful, to build something meaningful." "With him?" "Maybe. I don't know yet." "How long have you been thinking about this?" "Thinking about what?" "Leaving me for Chase." "This isn't about Chase." "Then what's it about?" "It's about me finally putting myself first." "By having an affair?" "By exploring what makes me happy." "And what makes you happy?" "Being with someone who believes in me." "I believed in you." "You believed in controlling me." "I believed in our marriage." Maybe that was the problem. Sunday morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in months. Kayla had made her choice. She'd chosen Chase and whatever fantasy life he'd promised her. She'd also chosen to rewrite history so that our marriage's failure was entirely my fault. That was fine. If she wanted to be the victim in her story, I was going to make sure it was a very public story with a very embarrassing ending. I started by creating a comprehensive timeline of her affair, complete with photos, screenshots, and dates. Every lie she'd told, every excuse she'd made, every dollar she'd spent on impressing another man while claiming to be building a business. Then I did something that would have been unthinkable 6 months earlier. I started planning to expose everything, not just to our friends and family, but to everyone. Her social media followers, his social media followers, and anyone else who might be interested in the truth about fake influencers and the people who enable them. Tyler came over Sunday afternoon to help me organize everything. "This is either brilliant or completely insane," he said, looking at the evidence I'd compiled. "Why can't it be both?" Because brilliant usually involves not destroying your own life in the process. My life is already destroyed. Now I'm just deciding who else goes down with me. You sure about this? Tyler, she's been lying to everyone about what happened. Her friends think I'm some controlling monster who couldn't handle her success. Her family thinks I drove her away because I was jealous of her business relationships. Meanwhile, she's posting pictures of herself looking happy and liberated while spending money she doesn't have on a relationship with a guy who's using her. So you want to set the record straight? I want to burn down the entire lie she's built. And then what? Then I move on with my life, and she deals with the consequences of hers. What about Chase? Chase is about to learn that targeting married women has risks he didn't consider. Monday morning, I put the first phase of my plan into action. I sent anonymous messages to 3 of the other women Chase had been coaching, along with screenshots of his conversations with Kayla and evidence of his financial problems. 2 of them responded within hours. Both had similar stories. Chase had approached them through social media, offered to help grow their accounts, and gradually turned the relationship personal. Both had spent money on him. Both had started to suspect he was seeing other women. One of them, Jennifer, agreed to meet me for coffee. I should have known something was wrong, she said, showing me photos Chase had sent her of expensive dinners and hotel rooms. He always had excuses for why he couldn't pay for anything, but he always knew exactly where we should go. How much did you spend on him? Probably $3,000 over 2 months, maybe more. Did he promise you anything? He said he could get me to 10,000 followers in 6 months, said he had connections with major brands. Did any of that happen? My follower count actually went down. Turns out he was using some sketchy service that got my account flagged for fake engagement. Are you still seeing him? God, no. I figured out what he was doing about a month ago. But you didn't expose him? I was too embarrassed. I felt stupid for falling for it. What if I told you that you weren't the only one? What if I told you that there were at least 6 other women with similar stories? I'd say it's time someone did something about it. Would you be willing to go public with your story? If it would stop him from doing this to other women, absolutely. By Wednesday, I had statements from 4 different women who'd been victimized by Chase's fake coaching scam. All of them had similar experiences: promises of social media growth, gradual relationship escalation, and requests for financial support that started small and grew larger over time. More importantly, all of them were angry enough to want revenge. Thursday evening, I got a call from Kayla. "We need to talk," she said. "I'm listening." Someone's been spreading rumors about Chase. What kind of rumors? Lies about him scamming women. Someone's been contacting his clients and telling them he's a fraud. Is he a fraud? Of course not. This is just someone trying to sabotage his business. Why would someone do that? I don't know. Maybe a competitor. Maybe an ex-girlfriend. Maybe a husband. Daniel, did you do this? Do what? Contact his clients and spread lies about him. I haven't lied about anything. So you did contact them? I shared some information with some people who might be interested in it. What information? Public records, social media analysis, financial documents. You investigated him? I investigated the man my wife was cheating with. Seemed like due diligence. You're sick. I'm thorough. You're trying to ruin his life. I'm trying to protect other people from being scammed. He's not scamming anyone. Kayla, he's broke. His social media following is fake. His business doesn't exist, and he's been running the same con on multiple women for months. That's not true. I have proof. What proof? Financial records, screenshots of conversations with other women, analysis of his social media accounts. You're lying. I'm really not. Chase told me you might try something like this. What did he tell you I might try? He said you'd probably try to turn me against him by making up stories. Did he also tell you about Jennifer, or Michelle, or Sarah? I don't know what you're talking about. Those are the names of some of his other clients. Would you like to hear their stories? I don't want to hear any more of your lies. They're not my lies, Kayla. They're his. I'm hanging up. Before you do, you should know that this information is going to become public soon. What do you mean? I mean that multiple women are planning to expose what he's been doing, with or without your cooperation. You can't do this. I'm not doing anything. They are. Daniel, please don't ruin this for me. Ruin what? My chance to be happy. Your chance to be happy was with me. You threw that away for a con artist. He's not a con artist. Then you won't mind when everyone sees the evidence. I hung up before she could respond. Friday morning, the first expose went live. Jennifer had written a detailed blog post about her experience with Chase, complete with screenshots, photos, and financial records. She'd also posted it to her social media accounts and tagged several fitness and lifestyle influencers. Within hours, it had been shared hundreds of times. By afternoon, 2 more women had posted their own stories. By evening, Chase Martin was trending locally on Twitter. Saturday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Kayla and a text message that simply said, "You destroyed everything." I texted back, "No, you destroyed everything. I just made sure everyone knew about it." She didn't respond, but Chase did. He called me directly, and his voice was shaking with rage. "You snake," he said. "You ruined my life. You ruined your own life. I just documented it. Those women are lying. All of them. They're bitter because things didn't work out. Things didn't work out because you scammed them. I helped them with their social media. You used them for money. That's not true. Chase, I have screenshots of you asking Kayla to pay for your car insurance. That was a loan. A loan you never intended to repay. You don't know anything about my relationship with Kayla. I know you targeted her because she was married to someone with money. That's not true. I know you've been running this same scam on multiple women for months. It's not a scam. Then why are you hiding from all the women who are looking for you? I'm not hiding. Where are you right now? That's none of your business. Are you with Kayla? Leave her out of this. She's already in this. She's been in this since she started lying to her husband to spend time with you. She was unhappy in her marriage. She was unhappy because she wanted more money to spend on you. You don't understand what she was going through. I understand exactly what she was going through. She was going through my bank account. She deserves better than you. She deserves exactly what she's getting. A broke con artist who can't even afford his own dinner. Screw you. Good luck with your new life, Chase. Hope you saved some of that money you borrowed from all those women. He hung up. Sunday afternoon, Kayla showed up at my house. She looked like she hadn't slept in days, and her usual perfect appearance had been replaced by sweatpants and unwashed hair. "Can I come in?" she asked. "Why?" "Because we need to talk. I think we've said everything we need to say. Daniel, please, 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on the couch where she used to live, looking around like she was visiting a museum of her former life. "You really did it," she said finally. "Did what?" "Destroyed everything." "I didn't destroy anything. I revealed what was already destroyed. Chase is gone." "Gone where?" "I don't know. He won't answer my calls. Maybe he's busy explaining to his landlord why he can't pay rent. This is all your fault." "My fault? If you hadn't interfered, everything would have been fine. Kayla, he was using you. He was using all of you." "That's not true. He's broke. His business is fake. He's been running the same con on multiple women." "You're lying. I showed you the evidence. You made it up. All of it? The bank records, the screenshots, the testimonials from other women? I don't know how, but you made it up." I stared at her, marveling at her ability to deny reality even when it was documented in excruciating detail. "Kayla, what did you think was going to happen?" "What do you mean? Did you think you were going to leave me for Chase and live happily ever after?" "I thought I was going to be happy." "With a man who couldn't afford to take you to dinner without your husband's money?" "Money isn't everything. It is when you don't have any. I could have gotten a job. You could have gotten a job 6 months ago. I was building my brand. You were living in a fantasy. At least it was my fantasy. It was Chase's fantasy. You were just funding it. I loved him. You loved the idea of him. That's not true. Kayla, you fell for a guy whose entire life was a lie. His success was fake. His money was fake. His interest in you was fake. His interest in me was real. His interest in your husband's money was real. You're wrong. Then where is he now?" She didn't have an answer for that. "I want to come home," she said finally. "This isn't your home anymore." "What do you mean?" "I mean that you made your choice. You chose him over me, lies over truth, fantasy over reality. I made a mistake. You made a series of choices, bad choices. People make mistakes. People make mistakes. You conducted a months-long affair while lying to my face and spending my money. I know I hurt you. You didn't hurt me, Kayla. You betrayed me. I can make it up to you. How? I don't know, but I can try. Why would you want to? Because I love you. No, you don't. Yes, I do. You love the security I represent. You love having someone to pay your bills while you chase your dreams. That's not true. It's completely true. And now that Chase is gone, you're looking for your backup plan. Daniel, please. I know I screwed up, but we can fix this. We can't fix this. Why not? Because I don't trust you, because I don't respect you, and because I don't love you anymore. You don't mean that. I absolutely mean that. Daniel, Kayla, you spent months lying to me, cheating on me, and spending my money on another man. Then you moved out to figure things out while publicly humiliating me on social media. Now that your affair has blown up in your face, you want to come home and pretend none of it happened. I don't want to pretend it didn't happen. What do you want? I want another chance. To do what? Cheat more carefully next time? To be a better wife. You had your chance to be a better wife. You chose to be someone else's girlfriend instead. I was confused. You were selfish. I was trying to find myself. You found yourself. You're someone who lies, cheats, and uses people. Congratulations. She started crying then, the kind of dramatic sobbing that she probably thought would make me feel guilty. Instead, it just made me feel tired. I have nowhere else to go, she said. You can go back to your mother's house. She's furious with me. Why? Because of what happened with Chase, because of the social media stuff. Ah, so now that your affair has become public, suddenly your mother doesn't think it's my fault anymore? She's embarrassed. She should be. Daniel, please, I'll do anything. Get a job. What? Get a job, support yourself, learn what it feels like to pay your own bills. And then? And then nothing. There is no and then. We're done. You can't mean that? I've never meant anything more in my life. But we're married. Not for much longer. Daniel. Kayla, it's over. It's been over since the first time you lied to me about where you were going. Everything since then has just been you trying to avoid the consequences. What consequences? The consequence of choosing someone else over your husband, the consequence of lying for months, the consequence of destroying your marriage for a con artist. I didn't know he was a con artist. You didn't want to know. You wanted to believe in the fantasy. Maybe I did. Definitely you did. So what happens now? Now you leave. You figure out how to support yourself. You deal with the mess you made. And you? I move on with my life. Just like that? Just like that. She sat there for another 10 minutes, crying and occasionally trying to restart the conversation, but there was nothing left to say. She'd made her choices, and now she had to live with them. When she finally left, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. The next morning, I filed for divorce. 6 months later, Kayla was working at a retail store and living in a studio apartment. Chase had moved to another city after being exposed as a fraud, and I was dating someone new, someone who had a job, paid her own bills, and understood that relationships were built on honesty rather than fantasy. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday. Kayla didn't contest it, probably because she knew that any investigation into our finances would reveal exactly how much money she'd spent on her affair. The final irony: she sent me a friend request on social media 3 months after the divorce was final. I declined it, but not before noticing that her follower count had dropped to fewer than 300 people. Apparently the truth about her brand had finally caught up with her. As for Chase, the last I heard, he was working at a car dealership and living with his parents. His social media accounts had been deleted after too many people started posting evidence of his scams. I never saw either of them again, which was exactly how I wanted it. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how everything ended, if I wish I'd handled things differently, been more forgiving, tried harder to save my marriage. The answer is no. Kayla made her choice when she decided that lying was easier than honesty, that fantasy was better than reality, and that my money was more important than my trust. Everything that happened after that was just the natural consequence of those choices. I didn't destroy my marriage. I just refused to keep pretending it still existed, and sometimes refusing to live a lie is the most honest thing you can do.